Tiki, I got to tell you, we all know, because we've lived it, just how sickening and bleak and pathetic the last decade's been to New York football.
Not a lot of playoff runs, not a lot of successful seasons, not a lot to be cheerful about when you go over to MetLife.
No, and as we look forward to tomorrow night, which very well might be a transformative night for both franchises, right? I want people to just listen to these numbers, all right? Because we know what we've watched, and we know it's been rough. But I don't know if we know how rough it's been until you hear this stuff. Last 10 years combined for the Jets and the Giants, encompassing 20 seasons, the winning percentage collectively is 35%. 35. We thought the 70s were rough.
Wow.
35%. Ghastly. 116 wins, 207 losses. A meager three winning seasons by both teams combined. And how about this for the kicker, right? One playoff appearance, and the Giant fans couldn't even enjoy it because that was the year with the dopey trip down to Miami with the boat. And then they come out against Green Bay, and they drop everything in sight, and they leave their boy Eli hanging. 8 coaches. Eight coaches.
I mean, I guess that makes sense, but when you say it, 8 in 10 years?
Coughlin, McAdoo, Shermer, Judge, Rex, Bowles, Gase, Saleh. We say that with a different inflection because he's going to win. And obviously, we're not going to count the Daboll right now yet. You talk about all the general managers. 7 general managers in 10 years of New York football. Forget about the litany of failed draft picks that both teams have had. Teak, tomorrow night, it must happen.
Well, you know what? You know why it must happen? Because I'm tired of this. I mean, as a fan of New York sports, and particularly the New York Giants, and we'll include the Jets here as well, you're just tired of mediocrity. Not even mediocrity, BT. It's less than mediocrity. It's almost, when you start the season, you feel like, that whole Mets thing, there's the first pitch, Mets season's over. It almost was felt like that for the Giants and the Jets. And it changed a little bit for the Jets last year, but you just got to be tired of it. As an organization, you got to be tired of it. As players on these teams, you got to be tired of it. It's okay to have a losing season here or there.
Sure.
You get a reset, you bring in some good players, you get rid of some old players or those guys that are not being in, but consistently being negative and negative, like emotion and social media coming down on you, national narratives, crushing you, and you're like a laughing stock. You're an afterthought.
Yes.
Like, you got to get tired of that.
Yes.
And so, I mean, BT, you went through all those statistics, and when you hear them, it's like, I know that, but damn, that is bad.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And think about this. You use the word, the negative feeling that both Jets and Giants have had, and you're certainly not wrong, but I think at least last year with the Giants, Jets different, new coach and a rookie quarterback, I think apathy crept in.
Yeah, no, you're right.
The Giants fans were apathetic.
Well, yeah, you without a doubt. Now, the pandemic didn't help because it pushed everybody away financially. It got tough for a lot of people who were, working class and lost their jobs or were on furlough or whatever it may have been. So, yeah, there was some apathy that was then compounded by the pandemic. But as I look at the roster and how it's been constructed over the last few years, BT, I got to say, and maybe I'm being hyperbolic a little bit, but probably not. This might be the most important draft in Giants history since 2007. Since 2007, we all remember that draft because that was a great draft as far as contributors were concerned.
Was that the Kevin Boss draft?
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
And he was late.
I got you.
But Aaron Ross, quarterback, he was productive. Steve Smith, the other Steve Smith, he was productive. Jay Alford gave us some good, production as a D tackle. Zach Diassi, long snap for 2 decades. It felt like he just retired a couple years ago. Kevin Boss was in there. Now Michael Johnson and Adam Cates, they didn't contribute, but then Ahmad Bradshaw at the seventh round pick, who became a big part of that running game. That was the last draft that you look from top to bottom and you say, man, they they did it really well. They got contributors all over it. Now, you can't throw out like the Odell Beckham draft. Like obviously he was a fantastic player early on, but the draft in total, it just kind of, it was what it was. Eric Flowers the year following that, Landon Collins, who then bounced and really didn't do anything once he went down to Washington. You had Eli Apple.
No.
Evan Ingram was good. He's not a Giant any longer, so you can't say it was a successful first overall pick. The Giants have an opportunity with 2 picks in the top 10 this year, number 5 and number 7, and then later picks as well. I think there's 11 overall, to really reshape the narrative around this team. The Jets have already started to do it, but for the Giants, the reshaping of the narrative around this team happens tomorrow night, and I have faith in Joe Shane. I have belief in Brian Daboll to get this thing done and corrected. But, I mean, if the mentality in the Giants organization is not, I am sick of this, you know what, then something's wrong. Because that's what we as fans have been feeling for a while. And now's an opportunity to flip the script. And it can't be more important.
He's fired. I can tell my man's fired up.
Afternoon.
He's ready for we're all ready for this draft. I can't wait
and again,
until tomorrow night.
I don't think
Let's
go.
go.
I don't think the Giants are going to draft somebody and all of a sudden it's going to be like, oh, that guy's all pro. And look, they win 10 games because
that's
they
not the point, though. No,
but
I
that's
agree
not
with
the
you.
point. You just got to feel hopeful.
You got to find guys that are going to be here on more than one contract.
That's exactly right.
And maybe more specifically, guys that are, after 2 years, you can't wait to get rid of them. Like, think about maybe Evan Ingram's expiration point was more than 2 years, but think about the last year or two. I mean, and I'm not saying Giant fans were wrong. He dropped that huge pass against the Eagles. If he catches it, they win the Game. I think that was a Monday or Thursday, but it was a night game. Point being, the emotion of apathy, and I said that before. You're right. I mean, when we were growing up, I mean, I'm not saying it never happened, but it very rarely happened where the Jets and the Giants were playing at the same time.
Yes.
Now it's like even the networks are like, waste their time staggering these teams. They both suck.
Let those New Yorkers choose.
Yes.
They can watch whatever. I mean, they can pick the Jets. They can pick the Giants. We'll put them on at the same time.
Yeah, they'll probably pick the red zone, which is what most of us did anyway.
It's true.
You know what I mean? So it is really crazy. You look at the Giants side by side. 9-7, 7-9, 6-10, 6-10, 11-5, 3-13, 5-11, 4-12, 6-10, 4-13, and then the Jets plight 6-10, 8-8, 4-12, 10-6, back-to-back 5-11s, 4-12, 7-9, 2-14, 4-13. I mean, good God, don't you think we deserve a good draft night for both teams?
I think we do, and I'm excited about it.
We've earned it.
I'm excited about it, BT, because there's so many options for both the Jets and the Giants. And, as I stick with the Giants, they're in a position where they've started to change the culture, right? You feel it when you hear from, Joe Shane. You feel it when you hear about what Brian Daboll is espousing and, how he's trying to make this more like a family, and there's an accountability to each other and to the coaching staff. It just feels like responsibility is being harped upon as opposed to being, man, I hope these guys are responsible with what they're tasked to do. It's changing. Like you feel it. Now, that only means something if it translates to, the off-season workout program, to once you get to training camp and, once you start playing these preseason games, then ultimately to the regular season when guys are winning. But, as you look at this draft, which is happening tomorrow, the Giants don't need to hit home runs. You know what I mean? I know why people are saying we have this opportunity at 5 and 7 to get a guy that could be, generational, maybe a Hall of Famer. But I think right now for the Giants, the home run is not important. It is the smash double off the wall. Give me that.
Why aren't we setting higher?
Because
they don't have the 18th pick.
Because when you do that, you sometimes swing and miss. And
square it up this time.
And you take a guy like, for instance, the kid from Georgia who keeps flying up the board, Trayvon Walker, right? He doesn't have the stats to back up where he's being projected. People are saying he's the number 1 overall prospect.
That's pretty much what people think, consensus right now.
He doesn't have the stats to back it up, but he has the potential. It's like, man, I can see it there. Like, look at the statistics at the combine. Look how strong he is. Look how big he is. Look how fast he ran. It's like all of this potential. But potential can be a dangerous word if it's not harnessed the right way or if it doesn't get in the perfect situation. And so if you take that guy and the Giants are not in position probably to take Trayvon Walker, but let's just say they were. And you take Trayvon Walker, and it's not based on statistics or production. Like, success is something that you have to learn how to do. And, he's had some success, but you can't just kind of hope. Let's just hope he's successful, right? I think that's risky. And that's not what the Giants need right now. They don't need risk. They need surety. And I think that, at 5 and 7, they have a chance to draft some studs. Maybe they pan out, but they got to get guys that are going to be consistently great, not guys that could potentially be Hall of Famers.
877-337-6666. Tiki and Tierney show here on The Fan inside the Town Fair Tire studio. Our friends at Town Fair Tire remind you to always get the guarantee lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. And it's interesting, too, because when you look at what both the Giants and the Jets, how they are attacking this, no doubt, right now, as they get ready to enter the war rooms, and they've been doing for the past couple of weeks, working the phones at the combine, etc. I mean, the Giants could do a multitude of things position-wise. They can trade out. They can secure an addition on one of the picks to try to secure an extra first-round pick for next year in case they've got to scoot up and get the quarterback if they're moving on from Daniel Jones.
Yep.
The Jets, the spotlight's still on Deebo Samuel. If they don't get Deebo, do you go wide receiver at 10? Do you maybe trade out as well? Do you go offensive line if you don't trust Becton? Do you go Sauce Gardner? I mean, there's just, I don't know that I've ever been this excited. Yeah. Again,
it's hard not
hyperbolic. I don't know, maybe. Yeah. But for both the Jets and the Giants, and I don't know, maybe it's because we're both local now, and I miss that energy, and we've got a draft party tomorrow night. We'll be at FanDuel at the Meadowlands Sportsbook tomorrow night doing the show. We'll have a live broadcast for the top 10 picks right now. Have green and blue on them. It's just time to start going. I think that belief, that energy is fueled by the belief, the conviction by both fan bases that after a million swing and misses, both teams have smart, modern people making decisions, the right coaches. It's go time.
Well, here's the thing. You know that cliche, like you only get one chance to make a first impression?
Yes.
Well, this is why I say this is so important for the Giants. Because we talked this entire offseason after they made the decision to go with Joe Shane, which was universally praised, not just locally, but I think nationally. Joe Shane's, ascension to general manager from the Buffalo Bills was a great hire. Then they decide to go Brian Daboll as the head coach. The familiarity between them two working together, the controversy surrounding all of that with the Flores stuff notwithstanding. Everybody universally agrees, great hire to get Brian Daboll, great offensive mind, especially with what he did with Josh Allen up in Buffalo. And all of that is just talk. It's like aesthetic, right? Because ultimately it matters what happens on the field. But the first impression is, how do you handle this awesome opportunity with 2 top 10 picks, right? So when I talk about this being the most important Giants draft since 2007, and I only bring that draft up because of what happened, right? They drafted all contributors. Everybody in that draft contributed to that championship team in 2007. This one is important, not because they're winning a championship, BT, but because they have an opportunity to make a great first impression about being like smart drafters.
Smart.
Right? As
where
opposed,
you trust them.
Yes, where you trust them. Where you say, I don't know about, this guy that we took I don't know about Eli Apple.
Yeah, but I
don't know about Eric Flowers. I don't know about, they have a chance to put that narrative, which has persisted for the Giants for the last 5 or 6 years, throw it out the window, right? And you can start over and do it right and get it right. So this draft is hugely important for the Giants.
And we know that Joe Douglas has shown a penchant, a propensity to trade. And let's be honest, win those trades.
Yeah.
I mean, he fleeced Seattle. He got something meaningful for Darnold, which was a miracle in itself. And maybe Joe Shane, we don't know yet what his vibe is going to be like on draft night. Maybe he's a little more conservative. Maybe he sticks with those picks, but he might be a trader as well. So as I said a few times, it is on 877-337-6666. Tiki and Tierney talking Jets and Giants. Eric Clifton up first. What's up, Eric?
Morning, fellas. Thanks as always for making the week go quick.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate you.
Wanted to check in. 2 on football, 1 on baseball. Football, I'd like to see your Jets, Tierney. I've been saying, at 4, I would take Thibodeau, and then I would take that second pick, maybe trade back since you got so much depth at wide receiver in this draft. I mean, I think you could probably, maybe get another pick in the second round, move back in the first, pick up one of maybe the Ohio State receivers. As for the Giants, I'm actually surprised they didn't do what the Eagles did. The Eagles are looking, they're trying to figure out their quarterback situation. You pick a team like the Saints and you take their number 1 pick next year, and you try to hope that they are picking in the top 3, top 5, and maybe use some more picks to go after like a Bryce Young. I'm surprised the Giants didn't get on that, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do that with one of these picks. And then the first pick, maybe also trade back with one of those picks from this year. Maybe go after like a center and a guard. Maybe pick 2 linemen out of this draft. But the Giants got to figure out the quarterback, and this isn't the draft to do it. I think next year's would be.
No, I think you're right. I think you're right about the quarterback. Go ahead on the baseball.
One thing on baseball before I forget. With regards to the Mets, I just want to get this off my chest.
Good.
This stuff with the guys getting beaned, it's got to stop. And if Major League Baseball I don't know what they're going to do about it, but I don't want our guys beating guys, but I would not mind seeing, if Alonso gets hit one more time, I would not mind seeing him, and I'm not an advocate for violence, but turn around, deck the catcher, and then turn around and charge the mound.
Well, I'll tell you that, Eric. Yeah. I mean, it's an issue. Listen, I am always one. Thanks for the call. And I was advocating strongly that the Mets this was a week and a half or so ago, that they needed to start drilling people.
Yeah.
Below the neck, in the back, in the ass, the right way, nowhere near the dome, obviously. The thing about when you get hit in the head, and I hear you. I mean, eventually Alonso's going to start throwing some hammers here if he keeps getting hit. But when you get hit in the head, you're so stunned.
Yeah.
I don't know that your first reaction is to fight.
No, I agree
Having
with you.
said that, I don't think there's any intent here, Teak.
I
don't.
Well, Chris Bassett made some interesting points about this, and we'll get to this a little bit later because the Mets they've won the 6th series to start the season for the first time ever, right? So it's amazing. 6 series in a row to start the season they've won. But Chris Bassett, who has a little bit of Max Scherzer in him that we didn't know about, went after Major League Baseball on the consistency of the ball. Look, I think Pete Alonso is getting hit a lot because teams, like, how you pitch a guy like that. You got to throw him inside.
That's right.
Right? You got to get it high.
You can't let him extend.
Exactly.
That's his power.
You got to get it high and inside. But there's lack of control because of the ball itself. These young pitchers are not so great pitchers who lack consistent control. It's just getting away from them. And it's going inside on Pete. I mean, you got to pitch him there. You just can't hit him. He can't keep getting hit as often as he can.
And a couple of Mets do crowd the plate. That's part of their approach. But we'll do a lot of baseball later. Promise, 877-337-6666. I just saw a tweet pertaining to Daniel Jones, where if in your mind you believe the Giants are ready to move away from Jones next year, you might want to rethink that. I'll tell you what it is, and it's from a source that is impeccable. I mean, very much a journalist and not a hot take artist. So we'll weave that into the conversation. Obviously, talking draft out of the chute. It's Tiki and Tierney here on the Fan till 2. That is Carton and Roberts after us.